So, hello everyone. I am the last presenter before the lunch, so I'm pretty sure that everyone is already looking for the moment to go to eat finally. So I'll try to keep it short. I do have tendency to speak a lot, so no offense. Let's see. I'm going to present you a real-time electrical vehicle charging analytics and predictive maintenance on AWS. So this presentation is going to be high level, let's say, so it is level 200. We are going to see some schemes and some technical things, but we are also going to talk about the business side. So actually this presentation can be applied to any domain, but since in the last year I worked in the electrical vehicles charging sector, I decided that I'm going to present this one, and I find it quite interesting. And considering that this field is growing rapidly, and the European Union has various regulations that are trying to push ahead electrical vehicles, charging systems, and using of electrical vehicles in general. So let's talk a little bit about business side. We have three main problems here. So the first one is various providers that clients tend to use. Well, as we know, owners of electrical vehicles, they usually prefer to choose any charging point that it is available or anything that provides better price. So the first thing is that almost everyone using various charging points operators and various e-mobility service providers. This makes working with the data a little bit more complicated. Then another complication is the competition. So mainly in the European market, companies that are managing charging stations are traditional utility companies. There are some startups, of course. So this talk can be also quite useful for some small companies that are only trying to develop their analytics and trying to understand market better, or also for some people, for developers, data analysts, data scientists that want to understand this particular field. The last point is the market growth. As I told you, there are many regulations that are trying to move forward electrical vehicles and trying to expand the network of charging points. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this business works, because as you all know, before you trying to implement something, you try to understand what you need to implement and what's the purpose of this. So to answer question why, we need to understand what. Market works in basically has two main points. So the GPO, charging points operator side, and another side is mobility service provider. So this is basically an application, and this is a physical charging station. Some companies cover only one or another part of the business, and some companies trying to cover everything, all parts of the business. And we also have regulatories, commissioning, electrical supply companies, and sometimes everything can be managed by the same company. And then, of course, we have electrical vehicle drivers. Those are our final users. However, this business works in two directions, so B2B and B2C, and the good analytics is supposed to cover everything and answer any question that arrives from final user side or from some side business side. Okay, in order to implement a good technical solution, we need to understand also business priorities. So I highlighted 4 business priorities and 4 technical challenges that arise. Of course, we need to manage our clients that are already here, and we would like to manage the physical assets, therefore charging stations, or like applications, whatever. For that, any company actually would need to deploy predictive maintenance. Expansion. This is a huge topic for business. In order to expand well and to understand where you need to put this charging station, you need to understand the data. Not only your data, but also being capable to manage the data that you receive from other providers. Therefore, managing of interoperability. Managing of interoperability is not only the business topic, it is also the technical topic. Because, of course, we have a certain protocols that manage communication from the technical side, but not everyone following those protocols 100% by rules. So sometimes the JSON file that you receive is quite nice. Sometimes, like, well, good luck to you to understand what's inside. And you still need to manage it because you still need to provide insights for business. So what challenges can we face from the technical side? It is data processing, the real time, or should I say near real time data processing. Then it is a connectivity of devices, enabling that connection is secure. Integration of this data, standardization of this data in order to receive clear answers, let's say clear outputs that we will be able to provide business with required KPIs. And then, of course, everyone needs to follow compliance and the data privacy regulations. Why I decided to participate in this community day and exactly the AWS. I have been using the platform for last 4 years, I would say, and honestly, I find it quite useful and user-friendly. And the way how this business of AWS is working, it's truly fascinating. And another benefit is that it is not only for big companies and for production, it is also for a lonely data analyst sitting in front of the computer and trying to understand something new, learning something new. And AWS also provides a great supporting system. So in data analytics lens, you could find various options for data architecture. I am not a data architecture, though I have touched, let's say, that topic as well. And here I'm going to present you 2 examples that AWS provides. The first one is for streaming data ingestion and analytics, and another one is for data visualization and the end-to-end design. So of course, just to have a look on the schema. On the first one, we have various data sources. Then we have a part that is dedicated to data processing and data storage for the electrical charging points. We have dedicated services on AWS as AWS Your Core and certain databases. So after that, we move to the streaming, if it is of course required, because everything depends on the particular case, how your data is received, where you receive your data from. Is it more convenient for you to actually have this streaming ingestion pipeline, or you prefer to have a batch pipeline? Anyway, there are various options, but the schema is always the same. You have data source. You need to understand how to collect. You need to understand how to process, how to clean your data, how to prepare, and then where to put it in order to, here at the last section, deploy a good analytics that will help you to answer business questions and support business. After all, they are paying our salaries. Okay, this is the visualization end-to-end design. And this is a simplified version of the analytical scheme. Okay, As I said, AWS provides free trials and gives opportunity to use some services for free for quite a long time. And I think this is quite useful, especially when one would like to understand how the analytics works. Another benefit is that even if you come from another side of IT, so you have never touched analytics, you still can try, register your account, and trying to develop and deploy the whole analytical pipeline within a day or 2 days. This is like really incredible, at least in my opinion. I personally work with the corporate version, but do not talk about things that I haven't done. I tried also the free version, the free trial service. So I registered an account and I was able to use S3, the storage, the basic of the data lake in AWS. Then the Lambda, the Redshift, which is to me my go-to tool for analytics. Then there is a SageMaker, another tool, but a little bit more advanced. And the Amazon Quick Site. I haven't mentioned here Athena, but Athena basically it is a service because I'm not sure if it is for free. All the services are for free. And as you can see, this is the proper analytical pipeline that you can deploy by yourself for free. You can also access the open data and data exchange. So sometimes you need to pay for the data. It can be quite costly. In AWS, you also can access this data at least for 12 months for free and create really great projects. So here I showed you an example of Eka Movement. They provide an extensive information regarding charging station locations, tariffs, anything. So any kind of data you might need to for developing the analytical pipeline. I'm not gonna talk much about this part because this is not my scope, I'd say. So this is more how to import data and how to deploy the pipeline in order to obtain data from the charging points. Anyway, the schema to me is quite easy to understand and also quite simple to use. And the another great thing that AWS, again, provides all the materials and all the guidelines of how to do this. Sorry? Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to deploy a seamless analytics. So you could, the data that you can obtain can arrive from operational database, can directly arrive from whatever source you have, or even from open data platforms. What we need to do usually is to store somewhere. For that, we use S3. It is very good practice to have a catalog and to have everything structured or at least your schemes written down in order to control and keep in touch with the reality of health of your data. Then we have the glue and the glue data brew and the Kinesis that could be used for streaming. So these services can be used for moving data across your platform. So from moving the data from S3, if you need to implement some ETL, you could use these services. Otherwise, systems like Amazon Redshift provide zero ETL services, which are also quite useful. And after that, the data could be stored rather in Redshift or maybe continue to be stored in S3, and by using Athena could be queried quite easily. Otherwise, again, through Redshift. And then imported into QuickSight or any other BI tool. So here, I know we have not that much time, but just to explain you how this works. And after all, the data could be connected to the SageMaker. Again, Amazon has many AI models that are already developed and ready to use, I would say. Then again, you can run any kind of maintenance, predictive maintenance on your local computer using the Wrangler, using the connectors, or otherwise using directly SageMaker. I added here a quick site report, and actually this was like 15-20 minutes for me to make. So I'm not telling that every analytical system has to be deployed so simply, but just to share with you that it is that simple. Basically, you have a direct connection to S3 if you do not need any kind of ETL, and if you need ETL, you can deploy the whole analytical pipeline. Okay, basically that's it. So if you have any kind of questions, I'm gonna leave this scheme. I will be more than happy to answer. Otherwise.
Okay, Evelina, you are very on time, I would say. So in this case, we have time for questions. So please, if you have any questions for Evelina, raise your hand. I will reach you with the microphone, or I have questions for you. Okay. So I was not ready because you are too short.
Yeah, I was fast.
Okay, but no questions. I have one for you.
Sure.
What are the biggest challenges you face as a data analyst when working with EVR charging data or any kind of transactional data? Okay. And how do you handle them?
Okay. So before I used to work as a data analyst in another company. Mainly we managed the transactional data, but I think the problem is always the same, is data quality and how you manage this data. But the main challenge, I would say, is the data quality, because from operational side, data, as you know, or may not know, but now you know, arrives in the various formats. So sometimes it's consistent, sometimes it is not, and you need to deploy a really good ETL in order to manage it and prepare data that can be actually useful. Not just like having some data. The idea of modern business is not just to process the data and receive it, but have some insights, give something valuable in order to grow. And for me, it is all about the data quality and volumes. Because if you didn't manage to understand your data, when it starts to arrive in the bigger scale, you're done. So have structure. That's the challenge.
Okay, thank you. May I ask another one?
Sure.
Or someone? Oh, better from the attendees, I suppose.
My question is about data analysis. So I'm curious if you've discovered some patterns regarding EV charging, like certain behaviors of users charging their EV vehicles. Like, what kind of insights did you found interesting after the data analysis of EV charging data?
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. So this is more about the domain. Well, of course, so there are timeouts and how the charging stations is used. So it depends from what side you're looking for. As I said, there are two domains, the GPO charging points operator domain and the MSP users. So the user's behavior is one thing. And then there is maintenance of charging points. What we trying to look, we actually have some running projects now. We are trying to understand where to put these charging stations. So in order to, what we are trying to do is to understand if it is financially justified to put a certain, in a certain point, the charging station, and if it is performing well. So sometimes you can add, I don't know, in this location, the charging point, and it can be used, but not used that much. And how much money and how much resources you invested, they will not be justified. So the thing is this one. And then you have a predictive maintenance. So you're also trying to analyze if the health status of the charging point. But it applies as well to another side, the MSP. So you want to understand your user behavior. You want to understand if this user has a healthy behavior, if they're trying to fraud you in some way. I mean, sometimes you can find really interesting cases, especially when the business is new. And as you know, the business usually tends to offer some benefits or bonuses. So analytics really can help you to, let's say, manage and calm down the flow of those users that are trying to create, I don't know, like 50 accounts to use a €5 bonus, which is like 250. And you know, like you have one user using this amount of money, another one, and then the amount of money is growing. And this analytics helps you to control user not healthy behavior of users, and as well maybe some downtime in charging stations, this kind of things. I don't know if that's what you answered. So like basically you're trying to reduce the cost of maintenance for the physical assets and then trying to keep your users engaged. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Someone else with questions for Evelina? Is your occasion?
I think everyone wants just to have a lunch.
Oh, but the lunch is not ready yet, so you
Okay,
can't
guys.
have lunch yet. No, I have another one.
Sure.
Okay, so it's about how do you ensure that your analysis and your report are providing value to the business?
Okay. Well, in order to ensure this, you need to talk to business, first of all. I would say that so this is important to understand from my perspective, at least, since I used to work very close to business as well, where you want to add them. So to add business only on in this point where you already have some BI tools doesn't make much sense, because sometimes business really know the data maybe even better than you. So it is quite important to insert them maybe on this level where your data is already cleaned and prepared to be analyzed. So let's say add the business on the CSV stage, not on the visual stage, in the graphical stage. Because after all, they also will ask you to have some extractions, to have some additional analysis. So you need always to keep in mind that your data warehouse is something that can answer questions of the business already, not just your dashboards.
Thank you, Evelina.